The main building the bus pulled up to was massive, with a large digital clock tower displaying weather and humidity updates, along with a message welcoming students. "Look at that," Jason whispered, eyes wide with wonder. "It's so futuristic." "Yeah," Sanjo breathed. A teacher stood waving and calling for first years. She clapped her hands to get their attention while the older students proceeded inside. It was Dr. Larkspar, wearing a lab coat and showing signs of stress. Her AI, Kriya, a green floating ball of light, helped organize the new arrivals. "First years, gather around." Dr. Larkspar's voice boomed, commanding their attention. "I am Dr. Larkspar, and this is Kriya." She gestured to the green glowing orb. "Follow Kriya and stay in line." Many students followed Kriya closely, fascinated by the floating, glowing sphere. Kriya did not speak, but instead beeped and gently nudged students, guiding them into a line. The students were both fearful and delighted by this unique presence. Kriya felt like a soft soccer ball when she pushed them. "What is a Kriya?" Jason whispered. "No idea," Sanjo replied, eyes wide. "But it's cool." Dr. Larkspar ignored further questions from the students, focusing on getting them lined up single file. Kriya beeped and gently nudged the students who was stepping out of line, bringing them back into formation. In single file, the first years followed Dr. Larkspar and Kriya into the school. As they walked, older students passed by, trying to reclaim old lockers. The floors were polished white and green marble. Jason and Sanjo were in shock as they saw numerous floating balls of light in different colors. Some students were talking to them, and one girl even hugged a glowing orb tightly with affection. Before the first years could interact with any, Kriya beeped and gently nudged them, keeping the line moving. As they continued down the corridor, a curious light ball floated towards the line of first years. Kriya quickly intervened, beeping aggressively and pushing the light ball away, ensuring the students stayed in line. "Keep moving, students," Dr. Larkspar instructed, pointing out different rooms along the way. Jason glanced over his shoulder at Sanjo. "I wonder what it's like to talk to one of those things." Sanjo nodded. "Yeah. Where do you think they came from?" "I don't know, but there are so many of them," Jason observed. "And the students seem to talk to them a lot." As they rounded a corner, they came to a set of large gym doors. Dr. Larkspar stopped and turned to the group, a playful smile on her face. "Welcome to Gym 13, she said ominously. "This is where your physical education will take place. Don't let the number scare you." Jason grinned. "She's just trying to scare us. But I bet it's going to be fun." Dr. Larkspar clapped her hands sharply. "All right, everyone, you will now be tested," she said in a mock-scary tone, relishing the chance to spook the new students a little. She entered, ensuring the students followed. Dr. Larkspar and Kriya led the first years into the gym. In the center of the gym stood a small fake building, surrounded by wooden fences and a maze of corridors. There were about 150 first years present, along with a few other teachers. Jason and Sanjo didn't recognize anyone in the crowd. They glanced up and noticed a large number of light balls watching from the stands, their colors shifting subtly. The principal's voice boomed over the intercom, introducing himself. "Welcome, first years. I am Mr. Norbert. This year's testing will be a lot of fun. You'll be split into 2 teams and play laser tag. Friendly fire is on, so be careful or don't," he said with a hint of mischief. "Remember to avoid injury if possible and watch out for any tripping hazards." Teachers led the eager students to the wall where laser tag rifles were mounted. Jason and Sanjo took rifles next to each other, hoping to end up on the same team. "These look pretty cool," Jason said, examining his rifle. He had never used a gun before and was fascinated by the design. Sanjo, on the other hand, inspected the sights and practiced aiming. "Yeah, they do. The sights are pretty accurate," he said, adjusting his grip expertly. Jason didn't notice Sanjo's proficiency with the rifle. "These feel so cool, even though they're kinda heavy," he said, still admiring the weapon. "Make sure to leave your backpacks at the door and check that you're wearing running shoes," a teacher reminded them. Jason turned to Sanjo as they waited for further instructions. This doesn't seem like an ethical test. Having this many kids running around with rifles, even if they are fake, feels dangerous. Sanjo nodded, looking worried. Yeah, I agree. It feels risky. The principal's voice came through again. Teams will be assigned based on the color that lights up on your rifle, he said. Jason and Sanjo watched anxiously as their rifles lit up. To their dismay, they were assigned to different teams. They laughed, trying to make light of the situation. With so many students, we probably won't even see each other, Jason joked. But if we do, I'll definitely win. Sanjo grinned. We'll see about that. The principal, still unseen, instructed the teams to their respective sides. Sanjo holstered his rifle in a professional manner and sprinted expertly around a corner. The principal's voice began a countdown, adding to the anticipation. As the countdown ended, Jason looked at the other students nervously. No one had a plan, and everyone was silently unsure. A tall student stepped forward and introduced himself confidently. I'm Roger, and I know what we need to do to win this. Stick with me and we'll dominate, Roger said, trying to be impressive. His voice was the only one that promised victory, and many of the students on the red team, with Jason, followed him. One girl stamped her foot and protested loudly. This test is foolish and a total breach of trust, she exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. We were promised a safe environment, and this is anything but. Dr. Larkspar, without a word, shot the girl with a bolt of red light. She flinched, but the only thing that happened was her gun turned off. Seeing this, the students rushed onto the battlefield, breaking up into groups. The majority followed Roger, the tall boy. Jason, with a group of strangers, walked into enemy fire. A few students were hit as both groups clumsily fired at each other and scrambled for cover. Jason hid behind a wall, panting heavily. He'd never done activity like this before and was already feeling a little out of breath. His frantic heartbeat was draining him. He heard a girl whimper and a thud around the corner. Peeking, he saw a girl holding her ankle, clearly in pain and on the blue team. He thought about shooting her since she didn't see him, but he felt bad for her. She couldn't continue like this. Before he could really consider the competition, one of Jason's teammates saw her and shot her. She almost had you. I saved you there, the boy said, then continued to shoot around a corner, clearly having a blast. Jason, feeling terrible, started going the opposite path to separate himself from the situation. As he did, he found himself alone. Spotting another student from the blue team, he aimed with intent and shot. The kid's rifle shut down, and he looked disappointed. Feeling a bit more confident, Jason entered the fake house, hoping his team members were there. Entering a fake room, he came up behind Sanjo, who turned around. They hesitated for a moment. Jason was shot by Sanjo. Jason's rifle deactivated, and he stood there feeling betrayed. In that moment, the last few shots were fired, and a klaxon sounded. All remaining students were disappointed as the game ended, and some moans could be heard from injured students. The principal's voice boomed over the intercom. Blue team wins. You all did well. Jason didn't know what to say, but got his stuff with Sanjo. As they walked, Jason reflected on what had happened. His mind was racing. He felt betrayal and confusion. He struggled to understand the fairness of the game.
Baby, kiss me again.